I knew I wanted to work with kids because I just love being goofy, and nothing makes my heart warmer than whenever I get a good laugh out of a kiddo.
Hey y'all, my name is Amy Morgan. I'm the marketing coordinator for Pediatric Dental Associates in Orthodontics. And today we have a very special guest joining us for our PDAO Team Talk. Kirsten is an RDA, mostly in our Fayetteville location, and has been with PDAO for 5 years. We are super excited to have her and learn more about her and her child, as you will find out, and more about what she loves about Northwest Arkansas. So Kirsten, go ahead and say hello.
Hello, my name is Kirsten. I am Dr. Ricker's treatment assistant at the Pediatric Dental Associates office in Fayetteville. I've lived in Northwest Arkansas for about 12 years. I attended the U of A and have my bachelor's in child development. After that, I knew I wanted to work with kids, but didn't really know how. So through process of elimination, I found dental and I fell in love with the dental world. I have one 10-year-old child. She is very rambunctious. Her name is Tina, and she's also a dog, and is my whole life and world. But I love it.
All right. That's the basics of Kirsten, and we can end the interview now. No, I'm just kidding. All right. So yes, you are, very bubbly, have a really big personality. I know like parents and kids like really love you when they come in there. I know Dr. Ricker really loves you and really loves working with you. We're very blessed to have RDAs like you on our team. So it's a big deal when people stay with us for longevity and things like that. She is applying to hygiene school though. So we'll see how we feel about that.
Yes, right. But I will never, I feel like I have such a difficult time. In my mind, I'm like, well, what if I come back like every now and then and just start working?
Hey,
I'm like, listen. I'll just be like, hey, I'm off this day. Do you want me to work?
Right. We'll just bring you in to organize the toothbrushes again. It's fine. She's very organized if you wanted to know. Okay.
I'd love it.
There you go. So you've been with PDA for about 5 years. Can you tell us a little bit about kind of what it's like to work at PDAO, to be an employee at PDAO?
So a big part of it is making sure that the kids that come to our office are comfortable, not just comfortable, but have fun, which is why I try and go the extra mile to be a little bit more goofy, because I feel like a dental anxiety and the fear of the dentist, it's understandable, because if you think about it, you can't see what's going on. Even an adult, like we're in your mouth and you're not visibly able to watch. And so I think that that's a normal fear when you can't see it. And so basically I try my best to communicate with the patients exactly what's going on each step of the way. And I've found that that's helped reduce a lot of kiddos' anxiety. And whenever I see the same patients for multiple appointments and like on their second or third appointment and they're happy to see me, that's when I feel like I've like done a good job at like kind of easing their worries and their fears. I know a lot of my coworkers, a lot of our doctors all feel the same way. It's almost like we want to make sure that the dental anxiety that's out there is reduced as much as possible. Sometimes I do that in the form of singing along to the movies during treatment, because patients think it's hysterical, and I have a blast, and normally that gets the parents laughing as well. And sometimes it's just in the form of, it's nice. We've got movies on the ceiling. We've got prizes.
Yes.
We've got so many stickers. I love breaking that dental fear real young when we can give them all of the goodies to help kind of make them more comfortable. And then unfortunately, general dentists aren't known to have the movies or the prize machine, which I still will push for. We need movies and prize machines in the.
Hey, we need prize machines everywhere. Adult book fairs.
Yes.
Yes. All right. So I know that you and I have talked a lot more recently because we've been talking about this interview, but we've also just kind of gotten to know each other a little bit better. But I know that there's a big deal about Halloween for you and you love Halloween.
Yes.
And we actually should have some examples somewhere in this video of your Halloween costumes.
Yes.
But I know that that's going to lead us into a fun story that you have to share about a patient. So why don't you go ahead and share that with us?
So I will start by saying that Halloween is just my all-time favorite holiday. And I feel that way because it's fun to dress up. I'm that person who does not really mind if I look like a big old goofball because to me, again, if I'm looking silly and the patients are laughing at me, then they're not worried and they're not anxious. So I kind of use Halloween at work as one giant opportunity to just have fun and be goofy. So I think the first year I was Little Bo Peep because that's when the Toy Story Was It 4 came out. And then I have been, let me think, I was Scooby-Doo. And then I have been Toad from Mario. The year that we had to be a little bit more restrictive because of COVID. Oh, that made me so sad. I was like, I just want to, can I put my costume on underneath my clothes so I can be like, look at the pictures of what I'm wearing. But this past Halloween, it was definitely one of my favorite memories at PDAO. We had a kiddo that was getting a little nervous. He needed one more appointment. And he was getting a little nervous toward one of his appointments. And Mom and I were talking about how much he loves the Mario movie. And at that point, I told the patient that I was going to be Toad for Halloween and Dr. Ricker was going to be Mario. And Dr. Ricker's other assistant was agreed to be Luigi. And the patient, he was about 4 or 5, shared with me. He was really excited to share that he was going to be Yoshi. And so I kind of talked to Mom because since he was getting a little just tired of coming to each appointment, I gave Mom the idea of coming and setting his last appointment he needed on Halloween because I knew that we were going to be dressed up and I knew that we would be committed because I think Dr. Ricker will go all out too. What is it? Me being like you have to wear all of this? Yes, but we have a lot of fun. So yes, he came. He dressed up as Yoshi. He did the best he has ever done for treatment that day, and I was so proud of him. The whole entire time we were genuinely pretending that we were like characters. Dr. Ricker had a mustache on the outside of her mask. And I had like a big, I'm sure you'll see the picture of it, but I had a big mushroom hat. And it was so amazing just to see this little kid have so much fun. When I went, like, for example, when I went out to the waiting room and just called his name, he was already in his Yoshi costume. And when he saw me, he just lit up. And those are the moments where I'm like, I love working here.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. I think on a daily basis, I think a lot of our assistants connect one-on-one with at least one patient in a, I don't want to say personal, but, just a closer manner. And I think we just don't often get the time to kind of take a time out and really talk about it or think about it because we have to move on to the next patient. We're a busy practice and we love taking care of all these kids, but being able to kind of single that out and work with the parent and get the whole thing set up is absolutely, it's really a sweet story. But I think also like my hope is that kid is always going to remember that and not be scared of the dentist as he grows up. And that really is our job, at PDAO and in pediatric dentistry in general. Your job is to eliminate the future fear of the dentist. Exactly. So you're trying to make sure that their dental experiences from ages 1, your children need to come to the dentist at age 1, till they're basically out of high school, that those experiences are good. They're not all wonderful if they have a cavity, and sometimes it's weird. You're telling me to lay down to brush my teeth. What are you talking about? And so all those things are weird. But I think with the environment and the staffing that we have, we really are able to create an experience for these kids that hopefully when they're out of the house or away from mom, they're still continuing to go see the dentist because
they're not scared.
They have not had these traumatic experiences that our parents had, or even I never had a traumatic experience at the dentist. I had a great dentist, but I did not have an office like PDAO.
Same.
Right? It was always generals, like pediatric dentists. When I first learned that there was such a thing as a pediatric dentist, before I started working here, I was like, what? Like there's somebody trained specially for kids. I didn't even know that.
Yes.
Had my parents known that, they probably would have strived to make me, see one of them instead of a general. But either way, we have both in our office where, we have pediatric dentists and general dentists. But I think the best thing about our general dentists is most of them have only ever seen kids.
Right.
I think I don't, Dr. Aaron is one of them. And I don't think did he see adults in California? Either way,
sure.
For the most of their dentistry life, they have been seeing kids. So it's just, our office is very kid-centered. So how can it not be fun?
I know. And that's what I was talking about. I knew I wanted to work with kids because I just love being goofy, and nothing makes my heart warmer than whenever I get a good laugh out of a kiddo. And especially when they're at the dentist and I get a good laugh out of a kiddo, because of, like we spoke about, the fear, the anxiety is there. And so if I'm making them giggle, if I can get that smile on their face, it's going to help them relax and just kind of ease their comforts and or ease their worries. I'm sorry. And that just means a lot to me.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. And then we're going to get to some of like your favorite things, and we're going to talk a little bit more about Tina because we have to talk about your child.
Yes.
But I do just want to say, or ask you, what is one thing that you wish, like parents who do not already come to our office, what do you wish parents and guardians knew about PDAO as a practice, kind of like our what our core values are, like those kinds of things. Like, what do you wish more people knew about us as a practice?
So I think, we are a little bit of a larger dental office compared to majority of dental offices around us.
In the U.S., actually.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
I was like maybe in like big other states,
Yes.
but I think the big thing that I would love to share is that we all stay pretty well communicated. And so whether it's one child or all 5 of children from a family member, we're always communicating about what the patient's needs are, because I think everyone there wants everything, and we want the parents to be comfortable. We want the kids to like coming back. We are striving to make it easier for the parents to bring their kids back to the dentist, because I don't want to go and experience. We want to make sure that whenever it's time to visit the dentist, it's an exciting thing. And so something that's really important to, I think, everyone is making sure that the kids enjoy coming back. And that is the biggest thing. I'm always, if a kiddo has to come back for a treatment, I'm always telling them, when you come back, this is going to happen, and then this, but then we get stickers and prizes. We emphasize the good parts. But we really do all care about making sure that kids want to come back, because
Absolutely.
I think all of us enjoy when we call a patient's name in the waiting room and the kid just runs to us. It makes us so happy. And, my personal experience, if I see a kiddo, I call their name in the waiting room and they're very reluctant to get up, I take that almost as like a personal challenge of like, I'm going to work really hard because I really want to make sure they're comfortable. And there's times where, unfortunately they've had traumatic experiences at other offices and they come to us. And, if I see that in a patient's like chart that they have a history of, something not being pleasant for them at a different office, it just lets me know, okay, I'm going to explain what I'm doing even more than I would typically do. And I'm going to talk to that patient probably a little bit more directly about what their fears and anxieties are. Yes, we work in pediatrics, and I primarily work with Dr. Ricker's patients that are, I would say, probably under the age of 9, but I do work with some of her patients that are older that have very severe anxiety. So, like I said earlier, with a 5-year-old, I will sing in canto and I'll get everyone in the room laughing. If it's a 16-year-old, they're not going to appreciate my singing too much. And so with them, it's a different approach. I typically, will have them come in and, give them some privacy and basically genuinely just ask like, what are your fears? Like, what's going through your mind? Because then if I find out specifically what they don't like, I can normally communicate with them a little better, or try and make that what they don't like a little bit more comfortable if I'm able to. And so I try and have those conversations instead of just skimming over. And I think a lot of us at PDA do the same.
Yes. And I mean, and I think that's how our employees are, we're kind of taught to have that empathy, and kind of, we're highly trained. We go through a lot of trainings.
Right.
Our dental assistant training program is, the binder's like this thick. There's just like a lot of things that we do, but we train all of our assistants to be an employee at PDAO. Mm-hmm. We do not train them to be a registered dental assistant just by themselves, right? Like, so there's a lot of ins and outs that are trained, taught, however you want to say it, to specifically be able to get our mission through, right? Which is, we want to create a safe and fun environment for kids so that they will love the dentist, but also so that parents trust us.
Yes.
So I think on all of those things, you're speaking to a lot of the behind the scenes things that people don't get to see. And sometimes even like their parents, you're in the room with them, you're talking to them, but all the pre-work you've done in the charting, making sure that on previous appointments you've made notes, making sure you're following up, making sure your team, as in Dr. Ricker and you and the other assistant, are all, flowing together and doing all that. And all those things are happening in like real time, and the flow of our office. Like, I always just say that somehow at the end of the day, we get it all done and every patient got seen and we're good to go. But I think there's just so many of those little minute things that people don't see it happen, so they don't know.
Yes. A big thing, a behind the scenes thing. And I think this kind of speaks more to parents' worries about their kids going to the dentist, is we call it like an eye bubble, but it's where everything's saved. And anytime I am grabbing a patient, any patient, whether I'm doing a cleaning, I'm doing sealants, or I'm going to assist in treatment, I have basically opened that eye bubble with all that patient's information that includes allergies, or it includes notes about basically what patients' fears are. I like to include, whenever I chart, like patients' favorite things, so that when they return, we have something to talk about. But everything is in there. And that is something that every single one of us, look at before we go grab a patient. So we are familiar with the patient's history whenever we see them.
Yes, absolutely.
Exactly.
I think that's so good. Okay. Well, we learned their favorite things, and now we're going to learn about your favorite things.
Yes.
We already know that Tina is at the top of the list. So let's just talk a little bit about Tina.
Yes. So she's actually something I like to do in my free time when I have time. I have grown up helping my mom and my family foster dogs and cats. Whenever I graduated college in 2016, I started fostering for Prairie Grove because they don't have a physical location, like they don't have a physical animal shelter. So they do genuinely run off of volunteers. And I have fostered about, I think, 23 dogs and cats and a bunny.
Very impressive.
Yes. And Tina was a big time foster failure, but I love her so much. And it's because when I first got her, she was very, very scared of people. She was caught like basically surviving by living off of dumpster food. She didn't trust people at all. It took months and months to get Tina to warm up to me. But when she did, it created a very unique relationship. I think when people see me around my dog, when I talk about Tina, people laugh. But when people see me around my dog, I swear I can have a normal conversation with her and she understands better than like just being like, sit. I'll be like, I'm going to need you to sit. And she'll sit. But she is, I think, things that grab attention from other people when they see her. She's a very unique looking dog in the sense that she's about 20 pounds. I had a DNA test done on her because she is so unique that basically everyone everyone was constantly asking, well, what kind of dog she was. So I got a DNA test done, and there was 2 breeds that were definitely at the top, and the rest, she had like 1% of like a couple other breeds, but she is Chihuahua Pit Bull mix for the most of it.
Of course she is.
Yes.
This makes so much sense.
Yes, she's got the chest of a pit bull, but like these huge, tall ears. She definitely thinks she's the size of a pit bull. But she is, it's really nice because I've seen her come so far from not trusting humans at all, to being the most biggest lap dog ever. Everywhere if I take her, I like to take her basically as many places as I can. It is not uncommon for people to come up to me and say hello to Tina, and I have no idea who they are. And so then most of the time people meet my dog before they meet me, because whenever we go anywhere that she's allowed to be off leash, she'll just go from person to person introducing herself. And I'm like, I don't want to follow her. And she's not doing anything wrong. But yes, often, just a couple weeks ago, someone remembered her from last summer and was like, oh, is this Tina? And I was like, yes. And what's your name?
You're like, how do I know you?
And
how do you know my dog?
Yes, I love it because Tina thrives off of just human interaction. But I also love it because it makes me happy because of how far she's come.
For sure. Mm-hmm. For sure. Sounds like your work life and your personal life kind of coincide there. I like it.
A little bit, yeah.
So just real quickly, I just so we can get a little bit of insight into your life outside of the office, just tell me maybe one of your favorite, let's talk about places to go in Northwest Arkansas. Yeah.
So I think my all-time place to go is Kingfish, and it's just because it is an extremely healthy and safe environment, but you can also take your dogs off leash there. And so typically, and they've got like a turf grass area. They've got a very nice outside area. And they often have bands play on their stage outside in the afternoon. Tina loves to hop up on the stage and sit in the center. She's in many band photos. And so I like going just because I think it's a very relaxed place. You get to sit in the sun. And just kind of enjoy some peace because it's kind of tucked off the side. It's not as loud or busy. I really enjoy all of what Northwest Arkansas has to offer in terms of hiking and trails.
Sure.
Sometimes I don't get to go as much as I want to, but when I tell you that I'm constantly like saving things because of certain hikes and trails, I was at work earlier and I was actually talking to some of my coworkers about, places to go. And I think Karina mentioned Tanyard.
Oh yeah, Tanyard Creek.
Yes. I hadn't been there, and they could not believe I hadn't been there. And they mentioned the waterfall, so now that's on my to-do list.
There you go. Maybe you'll do it this weekend. Who knows? All right. And then lastly, my last question is, what are you currently watching?
So I'm currently watching Bob's Burgers. I think anyone who knows me will probably see this and be like, she's been watching Bob's Burgers. I think it's one of my favorite shows because ultimately it's my favorite show because it's a animated comedy show, but it doesn't go dark. It doesn't go inappropriate. It's a very silly show. There's lots of goofy songs in it. That's how Tina got her name, was from the show. But that is one of my favorites. And yeah, if you have any kind of long day, I think putting it on, it's just so silly and just not serious that I feel like you put it on in the background, and even if you're not watching, you'll just hear something and it'll start making you laugh. So
okay, well there you go. So that's Kirsten, everyone.
Yes.
So thank you so much for taking the time. I know we've been trying to get this on the schedule for a while.
Yes.
The plight of my job is trying to figure out a way to get employees in here when they're actually supposed to be seeing patients at the same time. So I really, really appreciate you taking the time off, being excited about the interview.
Yes.
She asked so many questions. She's, so it's been amazing. But I think the biggest thing from this is getting the public to know who our staff is outside of PDAO. So again, thank you so much for joining us.
I really enjoyed it.
Absolutely.
Yes.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate it. We hope you learned a lot about Kirsten and maybe about PDAO as well, hopefully.
And Tina.
Sorry, Tina. Also, Tina has her own Instagram, and we'll drop it in the comments for you.
Yes, we will.
But yes, if you have any questions, maybe related to Kirsten's interview, but usually probably about dental questions, you are more than welcome to call our office and ask anyone that answers the phone, or you can always email me directly at amy@smilesarewild.com. Thank you so much for watching.